Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Carmen. I am an adult entertainer that usually works in clubs as a dancer, except this year with most clubs closed and with a lot of different issues around going back into the workplace, I decided to get on OnlyFans and try to figure out this platform. So in this video, I'm basically going to be giving you a wrap up of the last 6 months of working on this platform, what my results have been, what strategies I've been using to grow, and I want to answer some of the questions that y'all asked over at Instagram at Rags to Riches. And yeah, just talk through what's working, what's not, and what's next, right? So let's get into it. First, I want to give you an overview of last year, and I pulled up my numbers so that I could be kind of exact with y'all. I had 2 pages. That's important to know because one of those was free, one of those was paid, and I'm getting my amount as the total of those pages because they're on the same platform. A lot of the content was kind of the same, and how I ran the pages was different, but that's another story for another video. Basically, on my paid page, I ended up making about $27,000, and on my free page, I ended up making about $14,600, and I've just rounded that out. So basically, the total was a little bit over $41,000 in a span of 6 months. Now, is this the strip club money that I would be the happiest to see? Probably not. Is this what I would expect from the first 6 months of doing something that I have no experience in? Honestly, absolutely not. I did not expect for these to grow the way they did, but that's sort of why I'm making this video, because I think there were a lot of things, like small little details along the way, that were really helpful and that I'm hoping will help other people who are also in this position of like, I don't know when clubs are reopening, but I sure would like to, sort of at least start this engine, or at least give myself a little room off the runway so that when clubs open, I can also be managing another side business. Those were my total numbers. Now I want to talk a little bit about how I got there, right? Because this connects to our first question we're going to go over. The first question I got was how to build and sustain a following if one is new to social media. And my answer is I have no idea. I think social media is one of the trickiest things to grow because there are so many people on these platforms and they're often so oversaturated that if you're trying to grow quickly and really efficiently without at least throwing some cash down for promo or having some good connections or knowing a great photographer, like I think it's challenging. And so I didn't choose to go that route. For the last 6 months, I've only been promoting internally. What that means is I've been doing things like shout for shout, right? Where me and another creator will say, hey, I want to tell my subscribers about how awesome your content is. Can you do the same? Can you tell your subscribers how awesome my content is? That's pretty much the only kind of promo I've been doing. There's also something called like link drops, which is basically the same thing, but just bigger, where creators will get together and say, okay, instead of just the 2 of us cross promoting, how about like 6 of us cross promote each other on each other's pages so that like as many people as possible can get to know our content. Do you think if you're first getting started, for me, the smartest places, the most strategic places to think about were 1, how can I find customers that other people aren't reaching out to? So for example, what's my niche? What's my like one space or type of video or type of film style, whatever, that's gonna connect with people and be different and look different? Where are my customers gonna look for me, right? So like if I am using social media, am I just like going on every page and just posting all day long? Or am I choosing like 1 or 2 places where I can be really smart and just post a couple of times but have a bigger effect? I think those questions are really, really important. And then I think sort of the last thing, if you are just starting to grow, is thinking about your store, because a lot of creators think that you charge a subscription price and that's all that your customers are paying. And that's one strategy where you can make money. But for me, I saw my messages and all the like tip features in the platform as an opportunity to make more income. So I don't have a crazy amount of subscribers on any of my accounts. My free page right now has like 4,000, and my paid page before like a big change that I'm making right now had I think like 750 people. It's not like an absurd amount of subscribers. And by the way, on the paid one, most of those people came in at like a discounted offer of like $3 to subscribe. So it's not like they were throwing bukus of money at me, but it was more like a ton of little microtransactions that add up, and figuring out how many ways I could pitch an offer for these small transactions so people would buy. long game, right? Social media is super useful. Obviously, this page is all about social media and promoting this discussion of how do we grow our pages as entertainers. So like social media, very powerful tool, very useful tool, can be a fantastic way to advertise content. But if you're just getting started, I can't even advise on that because it's just not how the route I took to get started. So if you do have great social media tips for someone just getting started, feel free to drop them below. Okay, next one. How available do you make yourself in the DMs? Do you talk for free? Do you answer immediately, etc.? This is a really good question because a lot of times with these accounts, it's like we spend so much time trying to just get people to like check it out that then after there's not a lot of discussion really with creators about, hey, how often are you replying? How often are you interacting? And that definitely has a huge effect on your income. So here's how I think through this. I have different response times for my different accounts, and it's for a reason. One, is messaging a big part of how I'm making money? For some people, the answer is yes. So if you sell like real-time experiences, like, okay, I'm gonna do a rating in real time and it's gonna be like X amount more because it's happening in real time, or I'm making you a video in real time, whether it's in real time or not, right? Whether you recorded it earlier and are now sending it, or whether you're like literally like interacting with people in real time, that can be a really big source of income. So if that's part of your business strategy, absolutely, I would say like get good at DMs, and then also like think about finding an assistant maybe for the times that you're not going to be online so they can be handling some of this, or even setting like office hours, right? Like I'm on my computer between this time and this time, and that's when I'm feeling so fun and blah, 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 right? And so that's the time that you need to come by if you want to hear from me, right? Other tips can be like setting specific times for doing lives, if you're doing like live streams on there, or setting like, hey, I'm gonna reply to all my DMs that like once every 24 hours or whatever. You can have so many ways to approach this. For me, what has worked for me is I like to do DMs pretty much mornings and evenings, and I check them twice a day, but that's because I don't do any real-time sales. So I don't offer any like, hey, right now we're gonna play, or we're gonna do this or that. Like that's just not something that I want to offer to my customers. My DMs are kind of like, to me, they're like a privilege, not a right. Okay, so if someone's asking for like a product or a service, okay, I'm gonna give you some time. But if someone's just like, hi, what's up? How are you? That can be a really great customer for someone who does real-time interactions. They're just not like my preferred customer. So again, grain of salt, don't take what I'm doing as like what you have to do for your business. Think through, hey, your overall strategy. If you want to interact for free in the DMs, but you're pushing a lot of real-time sales, or like, hey, you should check out this clip. Oh my God, this makes me think of this clip. Fantastic. If you want to charge, hey, it's going to be $25 so that we can just DM each other back and forth through the next 10 minutes, do that. You know, it's your page, you get to run it. There's a lot of customization, but that's where you kind of have to be strategic about it, because otherwise you can be in the position where you're running a store like me, where you really don't have to check every minute of the day, but because in your head you're like, oh my God, I'm like, they're going to be upset at me if I don't check every minute. And then you're just like making yourself exhausted, but you're not really getting paid more. Or it could be, hey, you're actually selling these real-time experiences, but like you're not managing the time, or you're not telling people about it, you know, and they don't know when to check in, and so you're missing out on money. Do you, but just understand what it is you're doing. Someone asked, I'm curious how you're promoting inside of the platform. Is there another way other than cross promotion? Not that I've found. There is paid promotion, right? So there are people who make like a whole side business out of charging folks to post them on their page for their followers. For me, that's not been, I just haven't spent too much money or time in it, because I just feel like for someone to buy from me, they're probably gonna wanna see me a couple of times. It's probably gonna be more of a, of a sustained interaction than just like one post and then you're immediately buying. So let's say that I have a free page, then I might be more interested in like paying for promo, because it's just one click. They don't have to put their card down. But I don't think that I would go up to someone and be like, hey, I'm gonna give you $400 to post me on your page like once. Because what is the return really going to be $400 for me? I don't know. It's not something I've experimented with, so most of my stuff is just cross promotion. But if you have experimented with it, or you have good experiences about paid promo or bad experiences about paid promo, again, that's what the comments are for. So let us know. All right, so now this is going to take kind of a turn. This question was a lot more abstract, but I thought it was a useful one to include in here because it's certainly a question that has come up a lot, especially in the last few years with club raids, with Fosta Sesta, with all of the platforms basically trying to censor or just straight up delete our accounts, right? So the question here was, how do you stay positive and motivated to make content when the US government is trying to wipe sex workers off the internet completely? This has been a year, right? And I wanted to talk about this question because it's not just about US government going after our industry, because that is overwhelming and scary and frustrating, and it can feel it's so disrespectful and so unnecessary. But I think that it's kind of like more than that. Like, this year was just a lot on every metric, right? From like most of our places of business was closing to so much fear and anxiety about just our society, our government, our social institutions. Like, all of that is there when we are creating content. And I also think all of that is there when we are at the club or when we're like in any kind of job. I wanted to sort of answer it in two parts. One, the overall, how do we deal with anxiety and stress and all those feelings that well up, especially when we're self-employed and it's like, no one's making me make this video, no one's making me respond to this person, and I don't fucking feel like it right now, so what do I do? And then I wanted to answer the part about the way that our content has been getting removed from platforms. So the first part, to me, the part about our anxiety, stress, fear, all of those things. For me, moving out of that has been a couple of things. One, finding other shit to take up my attention and time, because when work becomes like the only sort of source of internal value, then it's really easy to only work, right? Because if all your value is derived from how much income you're producing, which our society really wants to tell us is where our value is derived from, right? Then not working can make us feel guilty, it can make us feel cruddy, and then we get into this really unhealthy cycle where we work to a point where we literally can't anymore, and it's painful or uncomfortable or unhealthy, and then we lose out on productivity anyway. So either way, you're going to have to stop, but either one is like voluntary and you plan on it and you do other things that bring you joy and make you feel worthy of love and attention and value and all those good things, or hey, you just burn out and then you're just kind of cruddy and your balance of productivity is probably going to even out to the same. So for me, that is hobbies. This year I've been doing a lot of woodworking. I've been trying to learn how to cook. I've been working out a lot. I've been going on a lot of hikes, like just trying to take my mind off of the overall reality. But also that means some structure. And especially if you were a dancer before this, like, dancers are so spoiled about our scheduling because most of us have to work like vaguely a couple days a week, maybe a couple days a month, to like still be considered like someone that works at this club, right? And online, that's not how it works. You can't just take off 2 weeks or take off a week or not answer your messages unless you want to lose out on a bunch of money. And that's a big shift. And so that could mean things like, hey, these are the times where I check my emails. These are the days where I do not. It could mean things like, I'm not gonna be on social media all day just fucking doom scrolling for no reason because it's not helpful to me and it's just stressing me out. And then when I actually have to do work, I literally don't have the energy. It could be like, hey, I'm gonna hire an assistant who handles certain parts of my promotion or who handles part of my messages so that I'm not constantly overwhelmed. And I think like what's more useful is like, hey, I'm gonna set aside concentrated work time. So I'm gonna be watching a show and playing music and checking my texts and looking at TikTok and working, but like, no, for just like 30 minutes a day, nothing else is around, I'm just working and I have just one thing to complete, right? That kind of focus can just be super helpful. You also asked, hey, how do you stay positive and motivated to make this kind of stuff when they're trying to wipe us off the internet? One, I think that they are doing, unfortunately, quite a good job of removing a lot of the content that is created on certain platforms like Facebook and Instagram, but that's why I don't promote on those platforms. And I don't think that it's, to me, I try to really not make it an emotional response, because if I do, I'm just gonna get so overwhelmed and so pissed that it's gonna be counterproductive to me. So I think I sort of section that off, right? Like when I'm working, when I'm in work time, I think about that as just another strategic thing that I have to overcome. Like, hey, if I can't promote there, where can I promote? If my account is going to get deleted for violating these terms of service, what doesn't violate their terms of service but can still grow my audience? Those become the kind of intellectual questions that I'm concerning myself with. And then when I'm not in work mode, right, I sort of can sit down, and if I'm talking to my friend, I can vent and decompress and be like, these, I can't, and hopefully, do some organization and talk about how do we get around this and how do we build better sort of community systems, because obviously, they're not concerned with our jobs and our businesses and the income that we can produce just being wiped off of these platforms. So yeah, it's like, the emotional parts of me that really feel it, I make time and space for those, but also when I'm in work mode, I'm only going to slow myself down if all I do is sit around and think about all the things that I can't do or that are in my way or that are set against me. Those don't make me money. So in my work time, that work time is also like not just, hey, no distractions as far as like gadgets or sound. It's also no distraction as far as like, hey, state of the world. Like, yes, that is a thing. I'm putting it right there. I will get back to it. Right now, I am trying to make my money. So I hope that helps. That was kind of a long answer, but I thought it was a good question. I'm gonna answer one last question and then I'll call it on this video. Okay, this is a good one. This question is, I would love to know how you're organizing content on your computer. I pay for Dropbox Premium to get most of the, XXX pictures off my phone, but it's not the best thing ever for the monthly cost. Okay, so one thing I know about me is I'm kind of a gearhead, and I don't mind dropping down a little coin to make my life a little easier. Because in my head, the time I spend organizing content and the time I spent finding videos and the time I spend going back and forth in my own head about where I put that one video that I shot 4 months ago on a Tuesday. I remember it was kind of rainy. I remember what customer it was for. Now I want to reuse it. I don't remember if I used their name though, so I don't know if I can resell it, and I don't know how much I sold it for, and I don't know the outfit, and I don't know which account I sold it on. No. That's too much stress. I'm already stressed, okay? I'm already overwhelmed. There's already too much going on, right? So I want my workspace to be like really zen and really organized so that my energy is just devoted to making more money. I don't mind dropping the $10 to $20 a month for a subscription service, or for a digital drive, or for like an additional gadget or an editing tool, if that $10 a month is going to help me make another $1,000 a month that I don't have to sort of sweat over, because I'm not spending 10 hours out of my week trying to find files and organize files and all that good stuff. But I realize that's not everyone's situation, that like not everyone could just afford to drop like 10 bucks a month on something like Dropbox, etc. So there's a couple of solutions. One can just be really good folder organization within your computer, right? Or even within these platforms. A lot of them do have internal storage where they are basically storing your files, and you can create little folders. So you can use like your vault and create different categories and just really build out a whole system that's gonna be no cost. The problem is if your account ever gets deleted, suspended, if it glitches, you might lose that content, right? And I would not want that for any creator. So to me, it's worth it to spend on something like Google Drive, right? Or like Dropbox, like you said, just because that means my work product is safe, and a phone can fall and break, a computer can get wet, and if you're telling me I'm gonna have to reshoot like literally at this point like hundreds of hours of content, I would cry. I would cry so hard, because those hundreds of hours, like I can't get my time back. I can make another $10 from work, but like that time and the energy and getting in the mode to film videos and figuring out the outfit and the hair and the makeup and the lighting and all that crap, like you can't make me do that twice, mama. So to me, I have to have some kind of backup system. To me, I have 2 backup systems. I have the files. I keep the original files usually in my phone, and I pay for the Apple extra storage. Then I have my external hard drive, which has all of my files organized in folders. I also have a Google Sheets that has all those file names and then all the details about the files, like all the stuff I want to know about it. And I'll link here to another video that has more about this, like more about how you can organize your files this way if you'd like to learn a little more about Google Sheets. And then I also have Google Drive, where I put all the files there again, because if one day my house is on, my house floods or something, and then my computer, like, to be honest, if my house lit on fire right now, I would probably grab like my most important documents, like my sentimental things that I can't live without, and I would grab my computer. Because the amount of files, the amount of time and effort, I can't imagine losing it, right? So I have now, if my phone crashes, I have the computer. If the computer crashes, I have the drive. If the drive crashes, I have the Google Drive. And to me, that's non-negotiable. But if it is, if it's like not that real, then it can just be, hey, it can be just on your OnlyFans, and it can be in that vault. I also know that there are some services. So if you're looking for something that's like low cost or no cost, there are some drive services online that will let you upload everything that's on your computer, and basically have it as a backup. And they won't charge you unless you pull out the files. Meaning you can basically just store it there as a sort of compressed version. And then if anything happens to your device, you can say, okay, now I'm gonna pay this charge for opening it. Of course, that's like got its own set of things, right? Like if your computer or phone gets lost, it's like, oh man, I'm gonna have to buy a new computer and buy all these files that are backed up. But that's better to me than losing them. Cool, so those were some of the questions. The last thing I wanted to sort of close with is some of the things I'm really excited about for next year, because I do think that, like, while I'm proud of how this is doing and how these platforms have been helpful, there's a couple of things that I've also learned about what I like want to keep doing and what I don't want to keep doing, and some things I'm looking forward to learning about. So examples. I decided pretty much this month that I'm not going to be doing any kind of like XXS stuff. I found that my happy place is sort of softcore, and it's a lot more talking videos, a lot more sort of lingerie and non-nude content. And I gave it a go for both. So I had one page that was like the more intense content, and then one page that was the like more gentle talking, etc. content. And that page started doing much better. So this is what people seem to be paying more for anyway. Why not just transition before, either one of these gets too big and then it's like much harder to pivot. A couple other things that I'm really looking forward to. I found a photographer that I really enjoyed working with. I'll link her below. And we shot a ton of really beautiful content, which I think is really valuable because, like, I just feel like that elevates all my promotion and all my marketing. And so that's the last thing, which is I'm gonna be starting my social media hot girl career, which is like a lot because I'm not the biggest fan of social media stuff in general. And I found like it's a lot more fun than I thought it would be. Like I started doing social media stuff like 2018, so we're going on like year 3. And it's a lot more fun than I thought it would be, but it's also a lot more work than I thought it would be. And I definitely never have like catered to a more male audience or catered to a more like, I don't know, just the dynamic of them sort of being a customer base versus being people that you like know and sort of have a vested interest in. It's just gonna be different, but I'm excited about it. I'm probably gonna learn a lot about the people that buy my content. It's probably gonna be a lot of lessons about how to do social media well, specifically for the sort of like hot girl category of social media, and how to be clever about like not breaking rules or terms of service, but also still like grow your platform. So those are the things I'm really looking forward to. I'm hoping this keeps growing and that I can keep steadily making my pages make more income and also take less time, so that it can just be like a nice additional place that I'm making money when clubs reopen. And I'm hoping that clubs reopen really, really soon, because I'm so ready to be back in the club environment when it is safe and it is back to being really fun and hopefully very profitable. So that's it for my wrap-up video. Sorry if that one was a little bit long. It's just a bunch of different stuff, and I wanted to make sure I got through your questions. I appreciate everyone who sent them in. If you don't already, make sure you check us out on Twitter, on Instagram. It's @RockStoritives pretty much everywhere. And yeah, if you have any questions about going digital or about any of this 2020 stuff or 2021 stuff, feel free to drop them below. Drop a comment, drop a like. Subscribe to this channel if you like this style of content. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Take care.